Hi, and welcome everyone to another episode of Gaming with Jason. Okay, so today we are going to be starting a playthrough, and I'm starting as Ethiopia. I've always wanted to see what kind of resources Ethiopia has. This has been sitting here for a couple hours because I had to get some other things done, but there have been some people on my other YouTube channel. Uh, Gaming with Jason. It's the same name. So if you're seeing this on Gaming with Jason, understand that channel has now migrated over here if you want to keep up with my content. With that being said, I was asked to do a playthrough, and I'm going to do a playthrough. I'm going to show you kind of how I develop my strategy, and I'm going to record throughout the day, and then every day I'm going to compile the videos into one long video, and then that way you guys can kind of see how I move along in the day. That way it's not long and boring and da 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 da. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do my usual, which is I've already gotten this one because I needed to get that done. Um, but now I want to go. Let's see. I have Eastern Technology or Eastern Doctrine. And Eastern Doctrine, honestly, I want these, but I'm probably going to have to go. I think I'm going to go after these guys since I'm not going to go the Navy route. I'm going to go after this first, which is something I normally don't do. I usually go after this. But I want those tank destroyers because here in Africa, people are going to take the time to build up tanks. I've got my butt whooped and it keeps being by tanks. So if I do not have these tank destroyers in my airlift or in my air assault when I go to jump into combat, it's going to be really rough on me. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to research that. And of course, my second research, of course, let's see, I need a few hundred. I've got 60,000. And so I'm going to go over here, and I'm usually the guy that comes and buys all of these up. So 48, I'll do another 9. And just to be a jerk, ooh, that one's going to hurt. But now nobody else can get it, and I am going to have a technological advantage because everybody starts here, and this is kind of how I push myself into the front. You've got to play it on multiple levels, so I want to have my air superiorities because I am going to be going with, or actually, you know what? Should I actually go with the gunship helicopter? You know what? I think in the beginning that'll be good to go with. Because if I do the gunship helicopter, then that means that so if I look here, doing the gunship helicopter, I am going to get a 7 attack and a 2. And my main thing is I want to kill their infantry because you only get to start with 2 recon vehicles. So unless somebody built recon vehicles to start with, this should be a safe helicopter to use. So I think I'm going to go this route instead of going with the air superiorities. And my next one that I'm going to do is I'm probably going to do the Black Hawk, or the Black Shark, which is what this is, just to make sure that I can go against these guys, the armor, because then it's just reverse. It's reverse. So what I eventually want to do is I want to have one dedicated wing of gunships, one dedicated wing of attack helicopters, and 2 hybrid wings where there are like 3 attack helicopters with 2 gunships. Then I can have them supporting 4 stacks of airborne. Now you might be asking yourself, well, why doesn't he go for airborne first? Because in order to get airborne first, I have got to have a level 2 air base. It's going to take me a minute to get up there. So I want to get this first tier. I want to get my infantry going. I want to get my tanks going so that when I get my air bases up, so the first thing I want to do is all this army base. Wait for that. I've got 20 seconds. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I am going to go and do the local industry. So I have that. And do I have any other resources? Sometimes you see resources on a map and then the next map they're not there. And I know that it switches between Apocalypse, but apparently I play Apocalypse a lot. And I'm looking at this. So okay, my army bases are built. Look at how oh my gosh. How long do I have? Oh, I got a day for both of those. So let's do this. What I'm gonna do is arms industry. I got it. Arms industry. So now I've got 2.5 hours until these are done. And I should have done this while I was in there. 6,000. Okay. Yeah, I went a little heavy. So is there anybody looking to buy? Okay, so let me add a sell offer of these for, let's see, I have, what the hell? I had 28. Where'd they go? Oh, like a dumbass. Okay. Yeah, I forgot that I built these, and so let's see here. Let me do this. Okay, add a sell offer of these. I'm gonna sell 500, and I'm gonna sell them at 12.5, just to be a jerk. The thing is, you got to play this game with many different facets. It's not just the, it's not just, okay, I got my units. You have also got to play the intelligence game. So if I look here, I got my intelligence. And this is something that I need to focus on because, at least in this game, so when you're getting watched by people, just like when your boss at work, when he's watching you, you're going to do a more perfect game than when he's not around. You might make a few mistakes. And, you know. And so, in the same way, now that I'm doing this playthrough, there are some things that I might normally neglect, but I want to make sure that I cover because this is important. I have my own view of how a coalition should be ran. So hold on one second. So I think that a coalition should be ran in this way. Okay. So I am here on Ethiopia. I am, let's see, I got one supply. How many? I got two supplies. Now I do have that to kind of offset it. So I'm supply heavy with a minor um in components. Okay. And so that's what this has to offer. But maybe another guy, let's say South Africa down here. South Africa is usually a pretty strong player. Let's look at him real quick because usually South Africa. Okay, he's a newer player. So South Africa, okay, let's say he decides he wants to build Navy, and I build Airborne, and then I got Congo over here building tanks and building air, and you have another player that is building something else. So you have three main things that you need to that you need to carry over into a coalition if you want to be able to build a strong coalition. Here's my thing with the when it comes to dealing with a coalition. Okay, and this is kind of how you should build your coalition. So let's look here. Okay, you need somebody that is going to be a naval power. And so usually when I go into a coalition, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. Who's going to do what? And then that way, the players that are smart enough to go, okay, da 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 da. But if you want to be a strong coalition, especially as the game changes, and like this will, if you have more and more coalitions doing this, and the newer players picking up on this play style, you're going to have a lot longer games. You're going to have games that go into the hundreds of days because if you have a coalition that works together well, that can coordinate together well, so you've got a Navy guy, right? Because you're going to need a guy that's going to have cruisers and he's going to take the time to max out those cruisers. Okay, so he's going to focus on that technology. It doesn't mean that you don't go for that. It just means that you yourself can take the moment and not focus on this technology because somebody else is doing it. And plus, you probably, if you're going to go the naval route, then you better build a carrier for yourself, and you should also build a carrier for your teammates and tell them that they can hop on and off your carrier. This is something that is um, that will be beneficial if you're trying to if for the other players in your coalition. Okay, you're also going to need somebody that is working on. You also got to have somebody that's working on land, which means that they're going to max out their um, their infantry. They're going to max out their tanks. They're going to max out maybe even some tank destroyers. Okay, and they're probably going to have a couple of strike wings, okay, just to be able to support those guys. Okay, now the next guy is going to want to be a complete air power. So what he's going to want to do is, in order to help out the Navy guy, he's going to want to have naval strike fighters, and that's probably going to be where he goes because they also do one more point damage. They're a lot better, and plus, in real life, naval pilots are much better than Air Force pilots. Okay, and you'll be able to use that. Plus, you want to focus on your superiority. I would not go with the naval air superiority because it doesn't get as fast as the let me see here. So it goes at a speed of 16, whereas this goes at a speed of 16. Yeah, okay, 16. So the American fighters are going to be, they're about 25% faster. Okay, so somebody who has American doctrine is going to definitely want to use this policy. Okay, because you're going to have the best fighters. All right, and on top of that, not just that, you should be offering supporting AWACS, because the AWACS is going to work out to be a beneficial it's going to be very beneficial for you and for your coalition, because the members that are attacking, if you're offering air support, that means that you've got like that. If you're doing air support, you should have at a minimum a level 4 infantry. Okay, you shouldn't really focus on getting your infantry up. You just need to have them at a level 4, and maybe have recon vehicles at a level 4 because they're cheaper and you're just going in to capture territory because you're working in tandem. So the strategy goes many ways. But anyways, the guy that has the air is also going to do the AWACS, and he's going to have one for each one of his teammates so that he can help them, search and destroy. And this is going to be something that's going to be really powerful. The second thing that you're also going to want to focus on is having 2 or 3 wings of these naval patrols. So you are just going to be completely air heavy. You're not going to be doing anything else but air. Okay, so I've covered 3, and now I'm running out of my little 5-minute window. I will pick this up in the next segment. So to pick back up, now that you've gotten the air taken care of, okay, um, then you're gonna have to start working on specialty. So you got a guy like me that comes in with airborne. That means that I'm gonna go with helicopters, okay? So I'm going to go with helicopters. I'm going to go with airborne. I'm going to do close quarter, close combat fighting. I'm going to build an air-based network so that the guy with the air support can come in and support me. I'm going to ask him for his air superiority fighting, and maybe one wing of his strikers to come in and help, because then that gives me the ability to not have to focus on those others. I mean, I'm gonna want to have one wing of superiority fighters, and I'm gonna want to at least get them up to a level 4 to protect my airborne. But I'm gonna be relying on them, and so on and so forth, to come in there and get that. But then that's for close quarter combat, and each player is gonna be going in their own direction, using their own strategy to take over their corner of the world. Okay. Um, but you're also going to want to dedicate a division or a segment of troops for group fight. Okay. So let's say that you as a group decide, okay, I'm going to hold the line. Okay, let's look here. Let's look here at me here in Africa. Okay, so let's say I get in with Saudi Arabia, India, Algeria, and Italy. Okay, let's say Italy goes with the naval power. I'm going with the airborne. Saudi goes with the air power. Algeria goes with the land power. Um, and let's just say that that's how that works. So now maybe Algeria and I and Saudi are probably going to work on closing this gap so that Algeria and I can rest safe that we don't have anything in between us, right? And then maybe we might come work on the Middle East and Iran and Turkey so that we can take those big players out. Okay. And so what everybody's doing is, okay, so we're going to send our units over to help capture this territory over here between Algeria and Ethiopia, while I'm going to work and split my forces and work a little bit over here. Okay. But then as soon as as soon as we're done over here, our next mission is to move uh, that international task force that we've built over and to start taking over this territory. And the thing is you have to have coordinated attacks. So you're going to have to know that your air guy's got to come in first. He's got to clean things up. So you say, okay, I need you to preserve the air bases because I'm going to send airborne in to go take all the cities, and and then we start splitting it up. And then you're also going to want to have one guy that his whole job, and that's usually what the leader should be and is supposed to be. And in a lot of these MMO games that I play, the way that these guys do this is is they kind of run command and control. Okay, so everybody says so. Like me starting out here right now, I have these starting units. So what I'm gonna want is one of my recon. So I don't have recon. Okay, so one of my recon plus maybe that, and where's my artillery and that. Okay, that's what I would dedicate to the task force. Okay, um, if I were the ground guy, the rest of this is for me. Okay, so now I start building troops to plenish me. You need to fill up the coffers of the coalition first. And the guy if you've got your leader and you've got a smart leader, and if some of you guys would love to coordinate and do something like this, and just to be able to show the playthrough, especially if you have a channel, it would be nice to be able to see it from everybody's perspective so that you can see the differences. So if there's anybody that wants to collaborate with me on this might be a great opportunity if you want to do a strategy like this with me. I do have a Discord server, and I will put the link down in the description. So I've been talking about command and control, and that's probably what your leader will do. Okay. Oh, and by the way, whoever's doing the specialty forces like airborne, you should also be responsible for building special forces and those really fast specialty units. Okay. Um, but let's say that that the command and control guy, the leader, comes in. Okay, he's going to be the one that's going to be directing everything. He's going to be saying, go over here, go over there. But you need to have an experienced leader who is active enough and isn't going to irritate everybody as he marshals them around. And everybody kind of needs to be on board. You can't just be like, "Oh, I'm going to do my own thing," or use a language barrier as your way to um, use a language barrier as your reason for not interacting, because this would require a very active coalition. This would be a very, very fun game. And if you've got other coalitions doing this, I mean, dear God, because the thing is by mid game, everybody should be donating two divisions, and by end game, you should be donating. You should have a third division donated. And the thing is most of your attacking and most of your territory gathering is going to be doing it in the collective, and so you're getting points, and everybody's getting their points, and you're kind of sharing. But the thing is this would require that everybody signs on to be active, because you know what happens if somebody becomes inactive. You got to go back in and you got to eat all those spots, and so all that area that you already did, you got to eat up again. And so that really sucks when people do that, and you need people that are going to be on at least 2 to 3 times a day on these 4 times speeds. Okay. So, running again as the leader, your job is going to be to protect yourself, okay? Because you're going to donate your division, and then you're going to be building up protection, okay? You're going to be headquarters, and it's kind of like everybody. If you get overran, because you know. As this technology, or as this theology progresses, and more coalitions pick this up, you're gonna want to take out the leader, because you take out the leader, then you have to have your next guy step in and kind of like keep the coalition together. Or if you've got a weak coalition that is ran by a dictator of a leader, then that will completely destroy the coalition, or at least demoralize them, because they just lost their commander in chief. So you're going to have your main focus is going to be your own protection, and again, with your division, and you're going to want to split up and say, you go to this city, I'm going to go to this city, and you go to that city. But as the leader, and dictating this, you need to make sure that you're evenly spreading these cities out, so that you're not giving one person, you know uh, everybody has their weakness. So everybody's going to want component cities. But if you're Spain, you don't need component cities, so, or you don't need electronic cities. So you're like, hey, I don't need the electronic cities, but somebody who is running the air, like Saudi Arabia, they're going to need electronic cities. So you're going to need to make it. So it actually requires a really concentrated effort. But this is really the way that a coalition should be ran, and I would love to do a playthrough or a collaborated game with a few players that are as active as me. You got to get on a minimum of 3 times a day, even if it's like 15 minutes twice a day, and then an hour at the end of your day, just to go in and do a quick battle and set your troops, and so on and so forth. You need to be able to be active and communicate and participate in the battles, because if you're not, if all of a sudden you want to use the excuse, oh, well, I got busy, you just screwed everybody in that coalition. And I got busy isn't an excuse in something like this. I mean, at 15 minutes a day, I mean, if you could take 15 minutes to drink a cup of coffee, and to, have private time with your partner, then you can take 15 minutes for this. So, with that being said, I think that if you're gonna put this strategy together, you need to have dedicated people, and you could build a team, and this may lead to like how Halo became monetized with their clans, and you can start creating clans in the same route. So this leads to possibilities if you have players that are willing to come in and collaborate, as well as teach your noobs. So that's the end for this playthrough. I'll be back in a few hours after everything's done, and we will start the next segment of the playthrough.